Well, hello. Guess who's back after literally over a year? It's me, watching the Magnus Archives again. Finally, I'm so sorry to the very dedicated, extremely reaction-starved Magnus Archives community, because this is not the case for literally, I do like sporadic reaction videos to random, oh my god, my microphone is speaking. I do sporadic reaction videos to like whatever just comes out at the time usually, or what's like super popular. And like usually the way reaction videos work is that for maybe a week the views like skyrocket as far as they're gonna go, and then they just level out. Like that's about as many views as you get, maybe with like some slow, very slow increasing. But when you look at the trends graphs for literally every single one of my Magnus Archives reactions, it's a straight line. No peaks anywhere. There's no moment where it's like super popular. Well, it didn't peak at the beginning. It didn't level out. It's a literal straight line, because it seems like people, as I am, because I can't find any, are always looking for Magnus Archives reactions, and people who like usually probably have to hear about the series through word of mouth because apparently it's niche, even though it shouldn't be. They have people are looking for reactions and there are none. So it's like people join, they look. My sister came to tell me that one of my socks was in her pajamas because it just came out of the laundry. Incredible. But yeah, the Magnus Archives, it's a line. It's like, and people are always looking for Magnus Archives reactions because it's such a strong and passionate and deserved fandom that is kind of hunting for scraps, kind of a little bit, because of how much like attention it's not getting, even though it should be. But yeah, and because of that, it's like the same amount of people come looking for reactions all the time, and it's crazy, and mostly because it's as from what I think, it seems most people come here from the playlist, my Magnus Archives reactions playlist, and it's because people really people actively search out reactions. Like people, like that's how people get into reactions. They actively search them out, but then after that it gets recommended. But for the Magnus Archives, it's like it's very active in a way that just like in terms, because that's how YouTube videos work, reactions. If people start watching it, then it'll get recommended to a bunch of people. But it feels like, and that's what causes that big spike at the beginning when it's like relevant and YouTube deems it recommended worthy. But from the Magnus Archives, it seems like every view on all of my Magnus Archives live streams are people who like actively pursue every single video. Like they look up the Magnus Archives reactions, and it's all from like searching. It's all from hunting. Like it's very. That's why it never like levels out, because every single one. There's no like recommendations involved. And there's no relevancy involved. It's all active participation on the part of the fandom, and that's incredible to me. And even though I guess one of my first Magnus Archives reaction has big views, not 1,000, but it's surprisingly big for a stream that's like 3 hours long. It's very big. But yeah, even though the Magnus Archives doesn't get like big views, it's still like consistent views, and it makes me really excited to continue participating in the fandom, because I know people like it and people want to see me watch it, I guess. Well, not me specifically, but just anyone ever. But it's just it makes me excited because it's such a strong, dedicated fan base, and I know how it feels. Oh my god. Let me take. Sorry. Pills. I swallowed the drink and didn't swallow the pill, which is embarrassing for me. But oh my god, but yeah, and I felt so guilty for so long because it's been, I think, a year and 2 months. I felt so guilty because I know there are people who've been keeping up with this and people who actively want this to the degree that they search it out. And I feel really guilty about that because, you know, but like some awful stuff happened. I'm just a lazy bum, so I like lost track of it when I got busy, and then after that I never really got back on, and by the time I was like really motivating myself to get like caught up with the series again, refresh my memory, and then come back to it right away. I had like awful things happen in my life, and I was in a really bad place. And college started, and it was hell, and it's still hell. But life is always hell, and I still want to watch the Magnus Archives. So yeah, I did but it was like a couple months ago. I finished like rewatching up to like episode like 80 something, and then the awful thing happened, and I wasn't rewatching. And then lately, in the past week, I started like at like 95 or something, and listened up to where we are now, where I left off. So I'm basically refreshed, but I'm also like woefully unprepared. But I feel like I was forgetting stuff anyway when I was watching the series in like a day after day. I was still forgetting stuff from the first episode, so maybe I'm fine. Because I know in those reactions I was like constantly looking up terms, looking up characters, because I did not remember any of their names because they showed up 50 episodes ago. So I feel like I'm at an okay level to continue watching. I know what's going on. We're still trying to stop the unknowing. I was going to say the unbecoming, and I'm like, what's that? Yeah. But yeah. We're trying to track down Gertrude's stuff. We're back at the Institute. Elias is blackmailing all of us. Jonathan Sims is being protective and kind of sweet, even though he's being stupid about it. We're trying to track down, like, Gertrude going... She's Mr. Worldwide, apparently. She's everywhere. Yeah, we just talked to a pig guy. We just entered the mind of a pig guy. Who cemented a pig. Yeah, other things happened. There was like the Dust Bowl. Gertrude. Something about Washington. Crazy. Oh, I feel like, did two of the recent statements take place like near or in Washington? It's like getting too close here. But yeah, I really just want to get right into it. I don't know what else to say. Michael got unmichaeled and then Helen. But Basira works here now. Just kind of chill. Tim is having the worst time of his life as always. Melanie is trying to kill Elias. She really wants to kill Elias, but she's bad at it. Elias is like an evil supervillain vibes, but he like doesn't actually know what's going on, kind of. He's like, oops, Jonathan Sims, you need to do some stuff. But yeah, how did last episode end? I literally just listened to it. We were tracking down this guy. Oh yeah, we like Gertrude left some things with the pig guy because she got called out by Jared. Why can't you just say Gerard? And by the way, Jonathan Sims offhandedly mentioned like 2 episodes ago that like Jared Key was like died from a brain tumor like a year ago, and I spent 20 minutes when I could have been doing homework like right now, looking for when the hell like Jonathan Sims mentioned that Jared Key died from a brain tumor, and I was like, why did you just offhandedly mention that? You've said this before, and I brought up transcripts from like episode 12 or something, and I'm like, thanks Jonathan Sims, I've totally remembered that. I didn't remember that he was dead. Oh my god. Oh, so much milk. Okay. Yeah. Also, I have a camera now. In case anyone's like skipping from my last one to this one, I have a camera that I got during Christmas. It's not a good camera. It's a little webcam that costs less than $20. But it looks so good. Yeah. Let's just get into it. I want to watch it. I've literally been waiting for the Tim statement for a year. Literally. I read the description a year ago, and I was like, oh my god, it's a Tim statement. Can't wait to watch that on camera. And then I couldn't. And so, Tim time. I've graduated. So I've graduated from poli-sci and AP Physics to awful computer science statistics class. So that's fun. Let's hear Tim. I wonder what led to this happening. I'm bad at things. Go away ad.
Just arrived in Candy Crush Soda, and we
get away ads.
Only one that matters.
Everywhere. Acast.com.
Hecate Kennedy. Abe Kennedy.
Oh, it's the Patreon's fine. They can get
Matthew
a little
Endicott,
credit or something.
Hal Moncrief.
Oh my god,
Thank
I think
you
my
all.
computer's...
We really appreciate your support.
Okay, I said
if you'd like
encoding
to join
overloaded
them,
for a
go to
minute.
www.patreon.com/Rusty Quill and take a look at our rewards.
Oh my god, someone's in my chat. That's crazy. Hi. Yeah. The homework is insane. The wiki reading I've had to do to keep up with this gosh darn
Rusty Quill
thing has been...
the Magnus Archives.
Okay. I'm gonna try to be productive, but I know it's not gonna work. Something crazy is gonna happen. Tim's gonna say something crazy, and I'm gonna
Episode 104.
go wacky. I'm gonna like completely ignore my homework.
statement of Eduardo Acosta regarding the night of October 9th.
I was like, that doesn't sound like Tim.
Oh, Christ, Tim! Oh,
What did Tim do?
oh, God, it's alright. It's just a shock. I didn't realise you were...
Been moving boxes in here for a while.
Have you?
Yeah. Everything alright?
Yeah, I guess.
Tim sounding depressed
Zone out a
as
bit when I have to read
always.
the statement.
Right. We'll see ya.
Oh, no, Tim. Tim. While I've got you, there's a book I was after for... it was The Marvelous Spiritualism and the Circus in the 19th Century. I asked up in the library, but Tom said you had it checked out.
Yeah. Why?
Oh, you know, just looking into anything and everything that might pin down the unknowing.
The what?
Oh,
The unknowing?
I mean, when I
Well, am I supposed to know what that is? Or
don't
Yeah.
keep up. No, you are knowing. You don't know.
I just thought someone would have told you by now.
Well, they haven't.
Oh my god.
What are you talking about?
The world's about to end and no one told Tim.
Martin, what is the unknowing, and what does it have to do with the circus?
It's a ritual.
That
I found
seemed
that
fairly personal.
it's
The circus.
like really bad, like maybe end of the world bad, and the circus is doing it. The Russian ones, the circus of the other.
No, we haven't. There hasn't been a circus statement since Leanne Denikin's last year, and that was a dead end. There's... Someone would have told me.
Tim, you've been out
Someone
of it for a while.
should have told me.
Why?
Oh.
Tim, are you alright?
Turn it off.
What?
Turn it off!
Oh no, I'm sad.
He needs to hear
I
it.
don't care.
He can't help if he doesn't know.
I don't want his help, Martin.
Elias seems to think that he's the best chance that we have to stop them.
And what? Supposed to just trust Elias now?
Please.
Fine. I'll tell him in person when he gets back from wherever it is that he's vanished to.
China. And if you try to tell him in person, you'll just end up at each other's throats. You know you will.
Jonathan Sims is in China.
Statement of Timothy Stoker on the disappearance of my brother Danny 4 years ago.
That makes me sad. Because he's
June
so
14th, 2017.
Tim
Thank you.
doesn't want to be
Statement
here.
begins.
And he's so...
My little brother Danny.
Okay, I'm gonna pause. Frick, I just want to keep talking. 'Cause Tim, he's so angry and a lot of times unreasonable with how sometimes he treats John, but it's if you could, at least for me, I always feel very sad about that for him because it's very valid and very. You can tell it comes from a place of a place of fear, and pain, and like being forced into this awful situation. And Tim's always been like such a real character in that sense that he's the one that's at least wants to be the most normal, and he comes across as the most normal in that sense in the way that he reacts to things, and he doesn't want to pardon this, and he doesn't want to put in this whole... Oh, thank you! I know it's late. It's very, very late. I didn't know anyone who still watched, stuck around. But, like, thank you for dropping in. Oh my god, I'm not used to reacting live in terms of talking to people. But yeah, night. Yeah. About Tim. He's like, God. Yeah. Oh God, I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's very. It's like he really doesn't. He has a very realistic approach to not wanting to serve a scary eye god or in any way contribute to anything and he doesn't want any part of it, as he said multiple times. And it's like the real like aversion to even like helping this thing, this eye that's like ruined his life, is very reasonable when, like, at least compared to other people's reactions where they at least seem to have a, well, Melanie doesn't seem to have accepted it, but it's like people have been like, well, I guess there's no other way, this is just how things are and stuff. Maybe just Martin, but I don't know. Well, Basira is you know, she's had a rough go, so this isn't much to her. But for Tim, it's always, there's just so much, I feel so much like real pain from him, and now he's giving a statement, which of course you can tell hurts him, but now he's telling, because everyone in the Magnus Institute seems to have had some formative experience with the supernatural that led them to want to study it, which makes sense. It's usually how things work for people studying the supernatural. But now we get to see him unearth his pain, and I don't feel like I'm ready for it, because he's closed off in that sense, but he's closed off in a way where you can really feel for him.
He was always better than me. He was a couple of years younger, but by the time he hit 21, he was already taller, fitter, better looking. I mean, he didn't have my winning sense of humour, but he didn't need it. Charisma, it wasn't a problem for him. I think a lot of people in my situation would have been jealous, but not me. I was just proud of him. He was always doing some charity race or endurance course, getting modelling gigs while I worked quietly away in publishing.
Modeling?
It made me smile. I remember he actually got a job doing some publicity shots for the company that owned my local gym. It was a good 5 months where, whenever I walked down to my offices, there he'd be, twice as large as life, coming down from a poster and challenging me to take them up on their joining fee, or lack thereof. I never did. It always brought a smile to my face when I saw it. We didn't really talk much, me and Danny. We were still pretty close. He'd usually keep me updated on whatever his latest obsession was. He'd tend to throw himself into a thing completely for about 6 months, and well, then he'd get bored and something new would catch his eye. Like back in 2013, it was urban exploration. He'd come down to London, stay with me for a couple of days, and we'd end up having drinks with Abigail Ellison, who's a mutual friend of ours from back home. Abby had been doing the urban exploration thing on and off for a few years.
Do I know that person? I hope not.
A few of her close calls in some of the sites down near the old Docklands. As she talked, I was just watching Danny's eyes light up, and I knew exactly what was happening. His passion for sailing was starting to wane after almost a year, and I was sure I was watching him discover his next project. When Abby mentioned she had a trip lined up for the old Millennium Mills in Newham, well, it was pretty much a done deal. At the time, I quite liked the idea. It wasn't the weirdest thing to ever catch Danny's attention, not by a long shot, and secretly I thought he and Abigail would maybe make kind of a cute couple, so I was quite encouraging. Not that he needed it. It's weird, isn't it? The things that can change your life. You can plan for all the devastating, terrible possibilities you can imagine, and it will always be those tiny, unexpected things that get you. You know, the things that you never even noticed as they were happening, just nudging everything into motion. But even if there was a way I could have known, I really don't think I'd be able to have stopped him. So, for the next few months, that was it. My cool little brother was an urban explorer. Suited him. I got used to my phone buzzing at my office desk as he filled it with pictures of his smiling face in front of some rusted machine or hidden tunnel.
Sounds like a
Never did
really
get
nice
together
brother.
without It only took a couple of trips with her and learned what I needed.
Just the fact that he kept them
He
updated
talks a few of his
all the
friends
time.
into it, like always. Started
So
going
she
on
really
trips
cared.
further afield. I thought he'd be down in London more than he was, but turns out there are even more interesting, abandoned places up north. They tend to be less guarded than they are down here, so that was where he spent most of his time. There was one thing that did draw him down to London, though. What he referred to as ghost buildings. Might have been some official name in the urban exploration community, I don't know. He stopped using the jargon around me after I joked that Urbex sounded like a brand of drain cleaner. What he was talking about was the places where newer buildings had been constructed in, or, I don't know, over the remains of an earlier one, but development had left some of the old pieces intact. Sometimes it was just a wall or two, made out of a different material, but occasionally there'd be an entire hidden basement or bricked up room. I don't know why, but Danny loved them. He talked for hours about crumbling pieces of history desperately clinging on to existence, but to be honest, I never really got it. Guess I didn't have to. Anyway, according to him, London had more of these ghost buildings than anywhere else in the country. He'd been exploring for a few months when he first mentioned Covent Garden Theatre. It had been destroyed by fire twice since it was first built in 1732, and well, he was convinced that the current building stood on top of floors and floors of hidden and abandoned ruins. The discarded cocoons of its previous life, as he once put it. He showed me maps and measurements, a few photo sets from others who'd apparently been there before. I never asked him to, but well, when he was excited, he just wanted everyone else to share it. That was Danny. He was just like that. While he was talking
This is
about
making
the
my
second
sibling
theatre
hurt
royal
sad.
Covent Garden, the one that lasted
Oh,
less than
no.
50 years before it burnt down, that was when I first heard the name Robert Smirk. All through this, I was trying to talk him out of
I
going,
thought
'cause,
Tim
well, what
liked
once
this
being
guy.
the Covent Garden Theatre is nowadays known as
I thought Martin
the
heard
Royal
about him from
Opera House,
Tim. I thought he was
which is
enthusiastic
about as far
about
from
him.
an abandoned building as you can get. And I really didn't think that trespassing there would be a good idea. But Danny didn't want to hear it. He wasn't going into the main building, he told me, and had figured out a route he claimed would lead him into the abandoned levels below without crossing anywhere that might actually attract security. And he was going alone. So he didn't need to worry about attracting too much attention. I told him it was a bad idea, but I'd never been able to stand in the way of his confidence. So late on Wednesday night in August 2013, my little brother went to break into the ruins hidden under the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden. It sounds so ridiculous to say it out loud, but there it is. I don't know how long he was gone. I went to bed around 1 in the morning and he hadn't gotten back. It was a hot night, and I woke up a few hours later needing a glass of water. There were the first hints of dawn filtering in through my living room windows, giving it this quiet, otherworldly feeling. Danny was sat in my big armchair, completely still. I smiled, feeling suddenly a little bit unsettled and trying my best to hide it. I'd asked how it had been, but he didn't answer. I asked him if he'd found anything, and he nodded slowly. I saw as he tilted his head that his cheeks were just wet with tears. He mumbled something then, very quietly. I couldn't really make it out, but it sounded like the name Joey. It was all kind of surreal, strange, and I started to think I might be dreaming, but I'd never seen him cry before. I tried to talk to him, find out what was wrong, but he just kept shaking his head. We sat there in silence for a long time. I didn't know what to do. The whole situation was so alien. I thought maybe I could try and get him some rest, let him collect himself, so after some coaxing, I got him onto the couch. As he laid down, I heard him say something else. I thought it sounded like, "The show must go on," and at that moment, I actually thought that was a good sign. I watched for a few more minutes until he was asleep, and then I went back to bed, though it was a while before I fell back to sleep.
So the circus comes in,
That
I
night
see.
was the last time I ever saw Danny. When I woke up a few hours later,
The guilt
gone.
complex that must have come from
he
that.
left no note, no hint of where he may have gone, and the only thing that showed he'd been back at all were a small pile of sketches he'd drawn on some scrap paper from my printer. On each there was a clown, the same clown, a shock of dark hair, vertical on the top of his head, porcelain white face, bright red lips painted in a wide, pointed smile, and a crimson diamond running down each cheek from just below his eyes. The lips may have been smiling, but the mouth my brother had drawn was dark, an empty circle that made me feel cold. I should have called the police. Well, maybe not now I've met some of the ones who've dealt with these cases, but I shouldn't have followed him. I shouldn't have checked the notes Danny left about where to get in and what to watch out for en route. There's never really any hope for me though, was there? This was how it was always going to go. Danny's notes were very comprehensive. Finding the entrance to the old, disused part under the Royal Opera House wasn't nearly as difficult as I thought it might be. He hadn't reattached the chain he'd broken to get in, and it didn't look like anyone had noticed to replace it. The entrance stood open, and even though it was the middle of the day, it became almost completely dark as soon as it crossed the threshold. I think he must have done some work on the hinges too, because even though I could see the rust eating through them, the door opened in complete silence. I stepped inside. Back then, I didn't know enough about Robert Smirk's architecture to recognize his work. I just thought it was a really well-preserved sublevel. The corridors were wide, solid, and my torch showed columns that were that regular geometry that I've come to recognize. Compared to the summer heat outside, the air was cold. I found myself shivering in just my t-shirt and shorts. The whole place looked spotless, a lot cleaner than any pictures I've ever seen of urban exploration or abandoned sites. I couldn't really see why the Royal Opera House above wouldn't use this space, why they just let it sit here untouched and hidden behind a locked and unmarked steel door just off of James Street. I was still wondering about this when I walked into the auditorium. At the time, I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking at, but I've now seen pictures of the second Theatre Royal in Covent Garden, the one designed by Smirk. I can say it was identical, a perfect recreation of the old stage and tiered seats, the decorations and the boxes. There are only two differences: that it was almost 20 feet below the ground where the original stage was, and that everything, from the floor to the seats to the blank and faceless audience, was entirely hewn out of crude stone. There was no light except for the headlamp I had taken from my brother's pack, and it swept over a full house, 4 levels of unmoving stone watchers, 2 thumb-sized indentations focused towards the stage. There was nothing that indicated they were any newer than the rest of the place. I walked down the steps to the edge of the top level where I'd entered, and I looked down towards the stage. My lamp barely illuminated the single figure that stood on it. It was Danny. At least I think it was. It looked like him. Same hair, same clothes. There's something
Last time we saw
right
Danny,
about
huh?
how he looked. Like he was smaller somehow, slightly folded in on himself. It didn't matter. I shouted down to him to let him know I was there. He didn't look up, but when my voice echoed around the stone theatre, I knew I'd made a horrible mistake. From somewhere above me, a spotlight suddenly turned on, shining down onto the stage, painfully bright against the white stone. The air became uncomfortably hot, and there was some sort of music. The spotlight wasn't on Danny. Instead, it picked out a figure crouched in the corner. All ruffles, polka dots, and tights. A clown. It crouched and contorted in the corner, hands backwards over its face, but not so much that I couldn't see the dark red patterns that seemed to flow down its eyes. I couldn't move. Slowly, so slowly, its right arm reached out towards Danny. It placed its hand on the floor with a long, low groan, then pulled itself along the floor, the fabric of its colourful dress scraping the rough stone of the stage, and its cheek rubbing against the ground, leaving a trail of red behind it. Then it was still for a second, before a leg reached out in front, and it began to drag the rest of the clown behind it. I always tell myself there was some force there, something that held me in place and meant that all I could do was watch. Sometimes when I think back, I remember how my legs shook and maybe I could move. Maybe I'm just a coward. The clown reached my brother, who still hadn't moved an inch, and unfurled to its full height. The red on the cheeks was now clearly blood. Something black oozed down from its shock of hair. It took Danny by the hand and looked up, right at me, smiling like nothing has ever smiled since. "Shall I?" he asked, with a voice so full of playful mischief that I felt bile rise in my throat. I wanted to shake my head, say no, but I never got a chance. With a single, smooth motion, like whipping the tablecloth off in a restaurant, he pulled the skin off of whatever had been pretending it was my brother. I don't know how to describe it. It was like an impressionist painting of a dancer, all colours and shapes that made you feel movement you couldn't see. Silently,
Sorry, I heard dancer.
moving from one position to another. The music had stopped. The dance was silent. It was beautiful. The next thing I remember was the cool night air on my face as the Opera House patrons pushed past me to get into the evening performance of Tosca. In my hands I held an old black and white circus flyer. It was written all over in Cyrillic, but in the bottom left corner was a certain clown's face, leering out at me, billed as the guest performer. As I watched, it crumbled to ash, floated away on the breeze.
That was the last time you ever saw your brother?
Yeah.
You never went back?
To the auditorium? No. If I had, I don't think they'd let me leave a second time.
That's why you joined the Institute, isn't it?
I thought I might be able to find something about what happened, but I guess at some point I stopped seriously looking and started to just get comfortable.
Until John...
Until the archives. Yeah.
Tim, the clown that you described
Yeah,
is...
I know. It didn't take too much looking around to match the description of Victorian London's most famous clown, Joseph Grimaldi, Covent Garden Theatre regular.
I mean, 200 years is a long time,
Yeah.
but...
It's him, though. Or it looks like him, or his ghost, or
Am I supposed to know that man?
I don't know why, but I think he's with the Russian circus.
Yeah.
You reckon they're trying to, what, end the world?
I mean, maybe it's not... Yeah, I think so.
and no one told me.
You were never here to tell.
He didn't want to be
now.
here.
I don't care about the rest of it. If anyone's gonna find that circus, I'm coming too. You're not gonna stop me.
He's got a stake in it.
Sure. I think that's actually a good idea.
Great.
Oh.
Martin, would you give us a moment?
Hi.
Please.
Elias,
Right.
what do you want with
Sorry.
Tim? He said sorry, leave it, yeah.
You were watching then? Most of it? Surprised you didn't know it already. That's your thing, isn't it?
I knew there was some trauma that drew you to us, but I can't say I ever thought to look much deeper. An oversight, perhaps, but I'm looking now.
Alright. Hit me with your X-ray eyes then, boss. What do you see?
Disruption. An unpredictable, angry man with nothing left but the desire to feel in some way revenged.
Oh, terrifying.
I thought this
Surely
would help.
Only magic could have let you see so deep inside my very soul.
Tim, I'm only going to tell you this once. Please stay away from the unknowing.
I guess all we need is the logical Jonathan Sims to
Don't
save the
believe you can
world.
help, and I don't know what will happen if you get involved.
Oh, sure. I'll just forget about it.
Or maybe
Go back to
you
sulking
should
in a corner.
stay
Tim,
safe.
Don't worry about me, boss. I'll just stop.
Okay, maybe I'm a little
That's what I'm
worried.
best at, right? Don't want to get in the way of your evil plans, do I?
I mean it, Tim.
Oh, you mean it? Oh, well, that's different. Okay, well, let me tell you what. If you want me to ignore everything that's going on, forget my brother and everything that's happened over the last 2 years, how about you kill me?
Jesus.
I don't want it to come to that.
Good delivery.
Either. But here we are. So my proposal for you is this. Either kill me, or fuck off.
I actually got a full body chill through my body.
I'll come
Please
back
don't die.
when you're feeling more reasonable.
I was like scared for a minute. Elias just gonna go like, sure. Like, please don't. No, actually don't.
Oh, piss off.
Sorry. I know that was a private moment.
The Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by Rusty Quill and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 international license. Today's episode was written by Jonathan Sims and directed by Alexander J. New.
Joseph
To subscribe,
Grimaldi
view
is a
associated
real
material
person that I'm
on
supposed to know, not because they're on the Magnus Archives wiki, but because they're an actual iconic British figure. Okay, I feel better about that. I feel better about that. That little man.
Join our communities on the forum via the website or on Reddit at r/themagnus.
Okay, so we got a Tim backstory.
Thanks for listening.
Some Tim background. Shit, Tim's like more than central, and like all these people are central, but Tim's gotten a lot of, from my perspective, gotten a lot of good, like, really tragic character focus that really humanizes him, and I'm really scared because, okay, I keep up with the Magnus Archives Reddit, which from like years ago. I read the episode discussions, and they're very much so smarter than me, so I feel like I'm getting spoilers, but actually they were written like right after the episodes came out at that time, like, so there aren't actually spoilers, it's just people being smart. So one thing I read like a long time ago, like even probably before I got to like episode 100, is that like people were theorizing that because of what happened to Gertrude's assistants, like how she like it seems she sacrificed them one by one, people with, and because of what happened to Sasha during season 1, they were theorizing that Tim was gonna die, like soon, or maybe this season. But I'm stupid because they were theorizing that he would die to like the fire people because his last name is Stoker, and all the and all their names are like weird, like like horror author puns, but they're like his last name's Stoker. He's gonna die in a fire. And so that's just my undue anxiety after, for a couple hours believing that Tim would die, because some Reddit comment was like, I think Tim's gonna die. So I was very scared for a minute there that, I don't know, even though it would make no sense, Elias just murdering him. And I was like, but yeah. Jeez, okay. Yeah. I like it, like the way the scene was set for like the opera house, and like this clown and the stage and like the dancer and then the artwork and stuff like that. Ooh, good mental scenery. What an aesthetic. Skin coming off people. What an aesthetic. In an opera house too, with clowns. How aesthetic. Yeah, it was a little terrifying. But thanks, Magnus Archives. Yeah. Goddamn. Really, the first, I don't know if it was the first half, but it felt so long to me of the story with him setting up his relationship with his brother, which makes sense for a story in which someone loses their brother, but it was still very sad to me, because it felt like such a, a real relationship in which my brother does all these great things, and he was better than me, but it never bothered me because I loved my brother, and he was so excited about the things he did, and he was excited about telling me about them, and he never let me. The photos thing, the thing that he said about always getting pictures on his phone from his brother smiling at this crazy new place he visited was devastating. Just a little bit kind of devastating. Yeah, because it's it's just there's the closeness to that. Yeah, I guess I have siblings and we text all the time, and yeah, we send stuff sometimes. Yeah, and it's his younger sibling too, and I guess my little sister is kind of like that. She sends us stuff all the time when she hears some crazy news. So it sucks. You could just feel that. Yeah, but Tim, I said my thoughts about Tim. This didn't really change them. Tim's great. He's so angry, and you know why he's angry, and it makes me sad. I don't know what else to say. And it's I know they were both probably it seems 4 years ago. They were both adults when this happened, but that's still his brother. That's still his younger brother, and it would never not be his younger brother. Oh my god. But yeah, now I'm just trying to recontextualize my image of Tim with this backstory, because an older brother with a dead younger brother vibes. Is that the vibe? Okay. Yeah. What else can I say? There's the whole we need to I'm fucking stopping this circus deal going on with John, with with Tim going I'm helping, and Elias going, you can't help, you're kind of useless, and that hurt me inside. Probably because I'm used to power of friendship team ups. Yeah, kind of. Well, I'm more people helping is the better, and that's why John pushing them away, even though they're already involved, is I consider that a ridiculous thing, because at least emotionally you need that to keep you grounded, as Georgie said. But I guess in terms of like actual weird existential being power struggles, maybe he would be a nuisance, which I don't want to admit, even though I believe he deserves. Well, like, on the grand scale of things, it's not about deserves, it's about stopping the apocalypse, but I do believe, I wish, that he got some closure and revenge on that part. But yeah, I don't know what he's gonna do. Elias said he'll come back and talk to him when he's less angry, but it seems as though, Tim, please don't die. I don't want that Reddit user to be right, even though they are wrong technically, because it's not about fire. Yeah. You know what? I forgot to bring up my little stupid thingy. My little episode list that I was super annoyed at all the time, that someone on Reddit linked to me, that I still thought was annoying because because it, like, some episodes were marked bronze or like silver that I thought weren't like the most story important, and there were some episodes that I thought were very story important and good that weren't marked on the list at all, and I was like, why would you do this to me? Okay. There it is. I hope it's still up. Oh, it's still up. Great. What? Oh, okay. That was episode 104. 105 is not on the list. 104 was marked as a bronze out of the bronze, silver, gold standard, even though it seems that was important, Tim-wise. Total War. I guess if it's a... Because at this point in the Magnus Archives, it seems like something very, at least good, like something that I have a good reaction to, happens at like at least the end of every episode that's very interesting, or like plot related at this point, and it feels like harder and harder to skip episodes when it comes to my watching of them on YouTube. So should I watch the next episode right now? Taping Rebellion. Am I misremembering what that is? Okay. Whoa, I'm reading the summary is too far ahead. Okay. You know what? Since I didn't discuss much, I did discuss a lot, except not really, but I discussed how much I liked him, and how, I don't know, like, I'm not gonna predict where the story is going, because I'm really bad at that, and that's not exactly how I consume media, by predicting things, more so just discussing what I already know, and learning as I go along. But, yeah. Interesting that Martin was like, he needs to hear this, and then he was referring to John, and Tim was like, I don't want his help. But like, he's like, well, if we're gonna stop the apocalypse or whatever, then you probably need his help. But it's like, it's funny that in order to get John to hear this, we tape recorded it. I know that's apparently a John association now, but damn, we really gotta perpetuate this tape recorder fixation. I guess we do. I guess that's just how it is. Yeah. You know what? Fuck it, I'll watch Total War. Maybe I'll be less active in my reaction than I already was by doing
for anyone, because there's something for
fucking
everyone.
Amazon.
Like Jessica, who completed free technical training program with Amazon's prepaid tuition.
Doing my homework and such. Maybe I'll try to focus a little more on that. but no promises. Maybe I want to relax. Maybe I want to kick it back. Maybe I want to put my leg under the blanket. Who knows? Back under blanket time, like in some of my other ones. Like I'm pretty sure my door 47 and Eudora reaction was me like chilling, like completely laid against here, going like, and I'm like, what? Whoa, Michael. Like, okay. You know what? I had my big pillow behind me so I could sit up while still laying down. Oh, okay. Sure. Too far back. I should. Whoa. I don't know what I'm doing. But my head though. Do 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 do. You know what? Yeah. Okay. Whoa, too far. Whoa, no. Okay. Maybe that's good.
Today at your local CSL
It's still an
Plasma
ad,
Center,
but fine.
and be rewarded for your generosity.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey friends, it's Mark Bittman, host of Food with Mark Bittman. If you haven't listened yet, please check us out. We talk about
Thanks,
recipes,
ad.
a lot about
Yeah,
cooking, but also
crazy.
about injustices in the food system
Oh,
and how America's food
okay.
policy is moving both forward and backward. We had climate expert, general genius, and all-around great guy Bill McKibben. Senator
It's
Cory
not really
Booker, whose
relevant
passion
to
for
me
food and
right now.
politics is totally inspiring. And the hilarious, wisdom-rich, New Orleans-based chef Toya Bodie. We've got much more in store for you, including some interviews tied to Earth Day that really couldn't be more
Okay.
appropriate.
I didn't even know it
have a
was
listen,
Earth
and
Day.
if you'd
I'm
like, share
very
your
bad.
thoughts with us
A
or
global
on
citizen
Apple
in
with a
that
review.
sense.
Look forward to
I just
seeing
saw
you
a bunch
soon.
of stands pop up.
Acast helps creators
That's
launch,
cool.
grow, and monetize their podcasts
And I was
everywhere.
like, is it Earth Day today?
Acast.com.
Hi everyone, Ben here. I'd just like to take a moment to thank some of our patrons.
Okay,
Scoops,
Patreons.
Bruce
Oh,
Rose,
also the
Colleen
Kickstarter for Magnus
Redacted,
Archives Season 2 started.
Katerina Sindelar,
While
Daniel
all
Shaw,
that while I was on
Alex McMinn,
hiatus, it seems.
Eric Rutan,
And I wanted to,
Alex,
I tried to donate to
Aaron
it multiple
Ruder,
times, and I like as much as possible.
Warwick Barrett.
But
Thank you all.
it didn't
We
take
really appreciate your support.
the
If you'd like to
Kickstarter
join
didn't
them, go
take
to www.patreon.com
like vanilla gift
/Rusty
cards, which is the only thing I
Quill and
have
look at our
because I
rewards.
don't have actual money. Like I have gift cards that my parents gave me. So I tried to give like $15, and my name is on Season 2. I would have given you all my money. I would have given you all my money, but but they didn't
Rusty
take it. They
Quill
didn't take any of it.
The Magnus.
Now I have a credit card, but it's too late. I should have asked more. I should have begged my parents. I should have. I wanted it so bad.
Episode
Fine. I'll get to watch it like everyone else. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. A total war. So this is a war guy. Obviously the last one was The Stranger. I guess this one's called just War. Like just the war episodes. The Magnus Archives has so many great messages. Veganism, anti-war, everything good in the world.
You're sure you don't mind?
Of course not. Recording is what we are here for.
And this is the same statement that Gertrude checked out.
I will check again with my assistant, but it's the only one we have from Taiping Tianguo Yundong written in English.
The Taiping Rebellion?
We're in
I
China
assumed it
right
would be
now?
about a
Oh,
circus or,
I have not read it, but I would be surprised. I seriously doubt there were any circuses at the time.
That's why I was like, shit, I don't know anything about the Taiping Rebellion. But I'm like, Taiping Rebellion, I forgot that literally Martin just said that John was in China. But Taiping Rebellion, I was like, that was in China, right? And then I read the statement giver named Charles Fleming, and I was like, what's the Taiping Rebellion? I guess maybe it's not in China. That sounds like a white guy's name. And I'm like, wait, what was... I don't know what Taiping Rebellion was about. I'm a bad person in terms of history. Oh god, my computer's going haywire. Let it rest for a bit while I look up the Taiping Rebellion. A civil war in China. In later stages, France and the United Kingdom got involved. Because all I learned about... I probably learned actually a bit about the Taiping Rebellion, but I'm bad, and I don't remember the things I learned in school. But what I learned about it was that it was in China. like a centralized Chinese thing. But I had no idea about the specifics.
I believe it was like a 见鬼.
Isn't all war like a nightmare?
Oh, 你说中文?
I don't. Why?
How long did you say you have been archivist?
About 2
Whoa.
years now.
A bunch of things just happened. As in, like, understanding different languages automatically. It holy shit. It was like, I'm pretty sure what she said was like, I like, you speak Chinese, and then, or like Mandarin or whatever, and he was like, no, I don't. And then, now she's asking about, the French statement thing always stuck, it never left my head, it lived in my head rent free. I was like, holy Jesus. Okay. But now she's asking about the archivist. Where are we right now? Why does she know about...
Well, Elias made a good choice. I did offer him someone, but he thought the language might be too much for him. 我相信没关系，是不是?
I suppose not.
Anyway, I will leave you to your work.
Maybe Jonathan Sims just knows Chinese.
I will, thank you.
Well, I don't know.
没关系.
Jonathan Sims. Where are we? Someone who knows Elias. I know we were tracking down with Gertrude as the last statement that Gertrude left, but where are we? Such that we have I guess... I mean, like, these, you know, these entities are, you know, Mr. Worldwide. They're not, like, relegated to, like, the UK. But... we have like a cross-continent organization going on. Like, what's, you know, this place that...
Details I got from Gertrude's documents lead me to believe that before she made her way to New Zealand, she paid a visit here, to the Pusong Ling Research Centre, Beijing.
Pusong Ling.
The centre is something of a sister organisation to the Institute, and while that means I have some reservations about their motives, it does mean gaining access to their collection.
So we have literally more eye bitches all over. There's an eye bitch institute in China, and we talk. We just talk. We're like, hey, want an archivist from us? And we're like, nah, we're fine. I have a note in the basement. Okay. World building.
According to Zhang Zhaoling, the librarian here, this statement was the one that Gertrude checked out during her last visit.
Okay.
So...
Since she said...
Statement of Second Lieutenant
said,
Charles Fleming.
he said she also said how long have you been archivist? And he's like 2 years, and I'm like, oh, good choice. You already know how to completely understand different languages somehow. I don't know, somehow it makes sense. It's if you wanna see into everyone and everything, you better just know what they're saying. Better understand to be understood. Understand to understand. But she's like, she's like, doing a good job. Let's go.
Regarding his experiences during the Taiping Rebellion. Original statement undated, but apparently written in early 1862. Audio recording by Jonathan Sims, head archivist of the Magnus Institute, London. Statement begins. Yellow reeds and white bones. Yellow reeds and white bones. I hear it said so often now it almost has the rhythm of a joke. How can one have poetic cliches for a massacre? How can unspeakable carnage become so tired and repetitive? Even the most trite and poorly written of the Penny Bloods would at least make some show of a plot, or a purpose to the horror and the suffering. But here, beyond those pages, it seems the dead simply pile higher and higher on both sides, and nothing changes but the number of ghosts. On one side, atrocities in the name of one who claims to be brother of Christ. On the other, slaughter in the name of the supposedly sane men who would stop him and his heavenly kingdom. And I find myself walking through the still and bloody landscape that has consumed all of China, scrawling my confessions on any paper I can find not yet saturated by mud and death. I am a stranger here, yet if you told me I were dead and this place my just reward, I would not for 1 second doubt your honesty. I have seen no vision of hell that can compare. Neither could I say I have not earned it. Not for nothing do these drowned and murdered faces pursue me. Nemesis was my ship, under Captain William Hall. I was so eager to serve my country, how could I question what they asked us to do? The trade in opium was a cornerstone of the empire, and when called upon to defend it against those Chinese that would threaten Britain's rule of the waves, what could I do but answer? Was ever a man so eager to have his country beseech of him his violence? And there was violence aplenty aboard Nemesis. First of its kind, an iron warship. Small, lightly armed, but able to go where other British vessels never dared. Far upriver to strike at the very heart of the Qing forces, where their defences were weakest, and the damage we could inflict most brutal. Captain Hall had a particular zeal for the work. He was a petty man, bitter, and never missing an opportunity to mention how long he had waited to command a ship of his own. Were I to judge solely based on the orders he gave, I would have been forced to conclude it was the Chinese who had slighted him, and now he exacted his vengeance. Truth be told, I simply believe he was possessed of a great cruelty, a cruelty I shared. I remember we sank a Qing ship off First Bar Island. Cambridge it was named, an old East Indiaman sold to the Chinese some years before. When she sank, a few crew made it aboard Nemesis, half dead and utterly defeated. I cannot honestly recall whether Captain Hall ordered them drowned, or whether I took it upon myself, confident in the captain's approval. Either way, it was certainly forthcoming. Theirs were the first faces that began to follow me. I would never have admitted that was why I paled when I passed by a looking-glass, or why I shook my bunkmates
I spared you,
demanding that they stop singing. Truth be told, no one knows how Nemesis sank. I certainly have my own beliefs, my own dreams of what may have reached up towards us and taken its price, dragging that dreadful iron curse to the bottom of the Canton River. All I remember is waking up to the screaming of buckling metal the louder screaming of doomed men in the decks below, and that third, deeper set of screams that sounded for all the world like a cry of triumph. I managed to get to the deck and leap from the bow into the waters of the river, when I plunged below the surface and watched the hulk of Nemesis twisted and disappearing into the deep, deeper than the Canton River should have been. I saw the water around me full of corpses, but when I finally broke the surface, I was alone. Those corpses follow me still, though I am hard-pressed to see them now, surrounded as I am by death in all its myriad forms. If you ever wish to escape your pursuing guilt, there are few places so apt to hide it as a land devastated by unimaginable war. At least I shall not go hungry. I lost that particular moral qualm in Anjing. I believe 38 fen was the going price for a pound of human meat by the end of the siege. Such a profound will to survive. In the end, it did no good. Zheng Guofan's army breached the gates, and they put everyone inside to death. 16,000 more corpses, soldier and civilian alike. There's no difference anymore. Hide your hair braid beneath your hat, proclaim your allegiance until you have no breath left, compared to the danger of enemy spies or saboteurs. One more cadaver is nothing. I'm lucky I still had my British uniform. Almost 20 years lost and abandoned in this country, a prisoner of the very opium I helped to force upon its people. I barely recognized
I remember
myself
the opium thing.
I'm lucky I never thought to sell it. It was an old design, a long way from the uniforms I see among my old comrades today, but it served well enough to get me through the Qing forces as they stormed through the streets. I am lucky, I suppose, that the only ghosts that chose to follow me were the ones I had to kill as I fled the city. I know there are others that see those behind me, and 16,000 lonely souls would be too much for them, I'm sure. They would be too much for me. But I'm not sure what that means anymore. After the fall of Anqing, I wandered this desolate country, though for how long I do not know. Days went by with not a single living creature to be seen, and only the dead for company. Yellow reeds and white bones. It struck me then how few of the fallen had died by the hand of another. War kills just as surely with hunger and sickness, and for every one bloodied and murdered, there were 10 wasted to nothing.
The war entity? Okay, I'll just say this. The war entity in the Magnus Archives is almost too real. Because, like, all the fears in the Magnus Archives are real fears, but in the but they seem more conventional in the sense that they're fears that like everyone has, like that, like they're just common in like everyday culture, just like spiders and like control, which I just recently figured out a couple months ago that that the web thing wasn't just spiders, it was also control related, which was very obvious rewatching the episodes. There's like disgusting shit. like bugs, and there's like freaky stuff like the stranger, and like mind bending, losing your mind stuff, like this spiral. There's the vast, which is like it's like a bunch of things, like heights, like wide open space, like the that kind of existential dread of that stuff. It's like falling, you know, and I feel fear of being watched and such. Oh my god, I shouldn't have said that out loud. Now I'm okay. But in terms of war, it's very it's less like a common fear and more of a horror. Like, this is a horror series, so it makes sense. But it's like it's a travesty. It's like the worst of humanity, basically. And it's devastating. It's devastating. It's you know, it's like, and there's so many. There's not so many, but it's like there's a good amount. There's a normal amount for the distribution of the number of entities, but there's the very like in-depth, very probably well-researched war episodes that just deal with like there's like magic shit going on, of course, but it's the horror there. We haven't reached. I don't believe we've reached anything supernatural unless I missed it. Maybe singing corpses, but I thought maybe that was more of a hallucination thing, as you do when people are being drowned and such. But it's like the main horror in this sense is like humanity. It's reality, and that's I guess that's probably what makes it the most terrifying of all of these, is because these episodes which deal with this entity don't leave you feeling scared because of the entity or just the concept of the well, I guess it is about the concept of the entity. These episodes leave you feeling more scared of the real world than of like the monster or the creature or the scenario or the story that you were just introduced to. It's and it's really really sad. You know, there was like that one episode which I thought was actually really good when I rewatched it. It was one of the early war episodes about that guy who he met the war and he became a writer and then he died when the peace treaty was signed, and that was, you know, a very cool concept, a very cool solid concept, good story focused on that one guy. But they these stories place so much emphasis on the cruelties that humanity dishes out on each other, and about how war war is war, you know. The war is cruelty, but yeah, it's so yeah.
I suppose there must have been a terrible smell, but there is nowhere here the wind does not chase me with that scent, and I can no longer tell the stench of decay from the air itself. They are one and the same. Some months ago I was captured, not by the Taiping or the Imperial forces, at least they weren't anymore. I believe they were once peasants. They had clearly never owned the building in which they kept me. There were 3 of them, one tall, who clearly spoke for his companions, one walking with a noticeable limp and an eye that refused to stop watering, and a third whose right arm was so discolored from a spreading infection.
Yeah, this is important. Let me hear all those again.
One tall, who clearly spoke for his companions, one walking with a noticeable limp and an eye that refused to stop watering, and a third whose right arm was so discolored from a spreading infection that he looked at me with a mixture of hate and helpless terror, as though I could do something to fix it. I did not fight when they barred my way with crude weapons leveled and demanded my surrender. I have not fought since I left Anqing and saw the true scale of the devastation. Believing me to still be a British officer, they intended, it seemed, to ransom me, but they knew of no British forces in the area, so were arguing as to whether to offer me to the Qing army or the nearest rebels. The tall one was adamant that the Imperial Army, now allied with the British, would pay them for my safe return, while the limping man was horrified at the thought. He had cut off his braid, he kept saying, and they would think he was loyal to the Taiping. The third man just watched me, listening to his companions arguing and laughing softly.
Shit, I wish I knew more about history.
I believe that he was the only one who truly understood. When the dead that follow caught up with me, they broke those poor fools apart like twigs and dragged
Oh, this was
all
literal.
below the ground. And they were
Okay.
gone.
Okay. It was literal.
Among their possessions,
I'm
a small
an
bag
idiot.
of rotten rice, and relishing the chance to wash the taste of blood from my mouth, I ate. I could still hear my would-be captors' voices, and I wondered how long it would be that I still had to wait for death. Some choose not to wait, of course. I passed by the city of Hangzhou after it had fallen to the Taiping. The gate still stood open, as they were unable to close it for the dead. When the city was taken, the people had rushed out and thrown themselves bodily into the West Lake. It was solid with them. For 300 yards you could have walked along their still bodies into the middle of the waters. I did, hoping against all hope that an arm might reach out and finally pull me down into that great mass of quiet death. But the waters of the lake were still and dark, and as I left, some who lay upon it rose to join me. I have no idea where to go now. I have walked so long my feet are bleeding, and I see nothing upon the horizon but more slaughter, more days without the living. So I write this, that some small record of what I have done and what I have seen may continue on. I sit here upon the steps of a manifest loyalty shrine, a small provincial one erected by a local governor who wished to cement his power. Now the more central shrines can no longer keep up with the number of the dead. But this one is mine. I look at the names of the fallen engraved on the walls, the long and storied lists, and I know that each name is borne by one of those that follow me. It is the list of those that wait for me at the bottom of these steps, though whether they wait to follow me further or to finally descend upon me, I do not know. But my name will never be carved upon this stone. Though war and death have found me in this land, I have no place here.
Yo, I heard war and
I came
death.
for no cause but violence and greed, and have been humbled by the unimaginable brutality of true and total war. I have nothing left, except to hope that what remains of my own life is neither long nor memorable.
Damn, okay.
Statement ends. Good Lord. I had heard that the Taiping Rebellion was... But... I wonder how much of what Lieutenant Fleming says is true and how much is, I almost hope it's all supernatural. Some hideous hallucination or otherworldly hellscape. Part of me really doesn't want to look it up. It looks like Zhaoling was right, though. No circus. Nothing even that resembles the working of the stranger. It seems to
So
be
why was Gertrude
purely
here?
war and violence, whatever power that might be. So why did Gertrude want it? I feel like I've chased dead end to dead end until I finally give up. I mean, what am I actually looking for? Jared Key after he faked his death? Some long confession he left tucked away in a library somewhere, telling me the ancient chant I need to stop the unknowing from coming to pass. Maybe this is pointless. I should head home. Help the others in their research.
Why'd we
If
go
I
to
knew
China?
Mandarin or Cantonese, maybe I could look here for more answers.
Cantonese?
But as it is, these files.
I didn't know which
Hang on.
Chinese variation.
I think this says 2004. Yes. 1992, 1997, 2004. If I'm reading this right, this file hasn't been accessed for... Wait. So it's been a waste of time then, has it?
It was a very simple mistake. She did read that statement.
I mean, in 2004, yes, but I need information about her visit 3 years ago. Did your assistant find anything about that?
We just read a random statement
There were
about
two
war.
accounts Gertrude took out in 2014.
And can I read them?
According to our records, we don't have them anymore.
Well, what happened to them? Where are
Did she
they?
just take them?
Apparently, they were sent on at the request of the Magnus Institute.
Gertrude asked for them to be sent to her.
I believe so.
To the Institute? Or...
No, we have other channels of delivery for that.
Then where?
I believe it was an American destination.
Oh, would you still have a copy of the address?
I think we do.
Thank you, Xiaoling.
Not a problem, 建筑师.
What a great way to get an episode. Got a whole episode out of
Magnus Archives is a podcast
a sort of
distributed by Rusty Quill,
filing misunderstanding.
Creative Commons Attribution
Got a whole
Non-Commercial
story
Share-alike 4.0
about the Taiping Rebellion.
Today's episode was written by
Clever.
Jonathan
I
Swartz
respect
and
that. I respect that.
Alexander J. To subscribe, view associated material, or join our Patreon,
Damn, okay.
visit rustyquill.com.
I really should have.
Rate,
I shouldn't have.
tweet us at
This is a Magnus Archives
rustyquill,
episode. I
visit
really
us on
shouldn't
Facebook
have
or email us at
assumed that
mail@rustyquill.com.
they would introduce the supernatural
Join our
elements so late
communities
into
on
the
forum via
episode.
the
No, the
website
the
or
whole
on
bodies
reddit.com/.
singing and following him thing was real. I'm tired. I'm tired. Okay. It's not my fault. I'm tired. Okay, I know this is the Magnus Archives, but I was thinking about war too much, and I was like, oh, guilt. Shut up! I've been watching a lot of TV. It's been a while. That's not even a good excuse. I've been watching this for the past
Amazon,
week.
there's a way up for anyone because
Okay.
there's something for everyone. Like Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what happened to that man. Probably died. Probably got torn apart by his ghosts. Yeah. What he said about being humbled was right. Yeah. I was like, what is a British man doing in the middle of the Taiping Rebellion? And I was like, oh, being a British man. I should have expected that. Oh. Dang, yeah. I don't know what else to say. This was really cool. World building was cool. More war. I got to talk about war. Because I don't think I've really watched the new war episodes on camera, because usually I would watch like the plot related episodes, and we haven't had a big interaction with war really. It's usually so far it's been The Stranger, big time, and you know the Hive or whatever it's called, the Bug Guys, season 1. Yeah, yeah, super interesting. We got like the sister organizations in for China. Yeah, crazy. Jonathan Sims knowing Chinese, or Cantonese, well, Chinese, Chinese isn't, like a language. There's like different kinds of, the different like languages spoken in Chinese. People, you know what I mean. Mandarin, Cantonese, or whatever. I'm bad, guys. I'm Chinese, I swear. I just didn't know it until I was like 13. But forget about that. Yeah. Crazy. Frick, I'm tired. I should record these less tired. I need to pack my bag. I have to go back to my fucking college. I hate fucking college. Yeah. Crazy. Jonathan Sims doing stuff. Now we're going to America, it seems. Any dirt people around? I guess we already stopped the dirt apocalypse. So, ooh, heading to America. Yeah. Yeah. I'm tired. Yeah, great episodes. God, I don't know where things are going. I know Jonathan Sims is tracking down the trail, and Tim is dealing with things as always, having the worst time ever. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. I don't know what else to say. I said a lot about the war stuff. I was a stupid idiot, among other things. Yeah. But yeah. Signing off into the next dimension. Nobody will be there. And, yeah. I don't have an end to my outro yet, still. And, frickety, USA, here we come. Okay, yeah, I'm ending stream. I don't know. I feel like I sound unintelligible because I'm so tired. I'm just slurring all my words together. So bye.